How you guys doing? This is Cigar Lady Annette coming to you live from my home. I'm not smoking cigars right now because I have something I want to talk about. So I started a thing called the Red Cigar Society, backwards because I'm selfie mode. Basically, it was a group of ladies who love to smoke cigars. And then one day I said, hey, let's do a little podcast. And my goal was to focus on entrepreneurs. So I was like, hey, I am going to do a podcast that focuses on entrepreneurs. Females that smoke cigars that are also entrepreneurs and also like red. Great combo. So anyway, let me give you a little background about myself. I'm from Los Angeles. Probably about 2006, 2007, I started smoking cigars on a constant basis. And I mean like every day. My little besties, Arthur in California, him and I would just go around and go to different cigar lounges. There was a cigar lounge in Pasadena called, Pasadena. Anyway, my friend who now owns Puro Humo Cigars in Glendale, California, it was his shop. And we used to go there a lot but I didn't smoke cigars on a daily basis, but we would go to that one a lot, and I would sample. And back then, my favorite cigar was Oliva V. So fast forward, me and some partners had started a restaurant called Get It and Go Creole Soul Food. Unfortunately, it was around 2008 when the economy took a huge tank, but it wasn't really the business. It was more so the main partner was a thief. But a gentleman came in to promote his restaurant down the street. Called Crenshaw Live. And it was a sushi restaurant. And I was like, on Crenshaw? What? So I went. And it had a fish tank in the floor. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome, on Crenshaw. And if anybody knows anything about Los Angeles, on Crenshaw, to bring a sushi restaurant there. And now one of the partners, Tyree, he owns GS Sports Bar, which is also freaking awesome. Anyway, so I got plugged into all these amazing people. And then one day I smelled cigar smoke. Coming from. So I went to the back. I asked somebody, where's that coming from? They said, in the back room we have little different private rooms. I was like, really? So anyway, I'm gonna fast forward. I met the owner. I was like, hey, can I join you guys? And so he said, yeah. Next thing you know, I was almost there every day smoking cigars with them. It was freaking awesome. I had sushi. I would go back there and smoke cigars. And so I started meeting more and more people. My network just started building up, and I was like, this is awesome. So I told the guy, I was like, hey, maybe I can do a cigar event here. So that is where Sexy Cigar Lounge started. Once a month, I would do a cigar event there, and there wasn't really, I very seldom would I see females smoking cigars. I know there were, but they were probably smoking at home. So there weren't very many cigar smokers. Excuse me. So I started smoking cigars there, and I started doing the event, and before you know it, it just got where everybody was like, oh my God, what is this? A female cigar smoker? And it was a Sexy Cigar Lounge. So, of course I had the little tatas hanging out, I kept it classy. My motto has always been classy, not trashy. And so a good friend of mine, my girlfriend Wendy, who I grew up with, she took me to a cigar event that some gentleman called Blue Smoke did in Hollywood. Not one of those. Anyway, My friend Carrie, rest in peace, and my friend Clarence, they started a thing called the Blue Smoke. So I went and I got to meet them, and that was my first time meeting them. We hit it off. They came to my event. Before you know it, my event was full of Sigmas. And it just went on for years. It went on for years, and then before you know it, people started contacting me to do different motorcycle events, different restaurants, and that's where the name Cigar Lady came from, because everywhere I went, everybody said, hey, you're that cigar lady, you got any cigars? And so I just kept the name Cigar Lady, and I just added a net to it because it just kind of flowed, Cigar Lady and net. So anyway, after doing all that, a good friend of mine who was one of the partners in the restaurant, he's like, hey, you need your own lounge. And all my friends was like, you need your own lounge. And I said, sounds good, but it requires a lot of money. And I had been around, met lots and lots of lounges. You know, I spoke to my my good friend Bo, who owns Bo's Cigar Lounge. He has one in Bellflower. At that time, he had one in Long Beach, and he has one in Torrance. I mean, he's just an amazing guy. He's just full of knowledge. And so, you know, and then I had some of my friends in the Valley. I mean, literally, I went to almost every lounge that you can think of and just picked the brains of everyone. So I started doing my homework and started a thing called Cigar 101, and it was like becoming a tobacconist. I never got my certification, but I pretty much did all the stuff that you needed to do to become a tobacconist. And, you know, anyway, fast forward, open up a lounge. I was blessed to find a spot in a nice neighborhood. I had an amazing amount of followers, so it was fairly easy for me to open up a lounge. And when I tell you it was so cool, I had so many of my friends donating things. My good friend Shervin, which we call him my brother, who works for Gurkha, he got me a line of credit with a company called, it was Marathon, and I think it was like a $50,000 credit, you know, which is unbelievable for a company that doesn't really have any kind of, but anyway, I had built that type of rapport in the community that it was a blessing. So I opened up my shop. I noticed people were coming in, you know, doing what they usually do, smoking their own cigars and blah, blah, blah. So I remember saying, hey, it's a $10 cutting fee. If you don't want to buy a cigar, it's a $10 cutting fee. You can't just come in here and smoke your own cigars. So I remember sending out a group text to my crew saying, hey, if you guys, I'm sorry, I forgot. So a gentleman calls me up and says, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm at one of these lounges and there's a group of people talking about your shop. I was like, oh, what are they saying? And he said, yeah, they were saying you implemented a cutting fee. And I was like, oh, okay. I never asked who it was. I didn't care. I've always learned that all publicity is good publicity, even bad publicity. Just keep that in mind. I didn't care. I didn't ask. So I was like, wow. He's like, yeah. He's like, you should probably change that. I said, yeah, no, I'm not changing that. Why would I allow people to just come in and smoke their own cigars? I mean, it's unbelievable how people think that they can just come in and smoke their own cigars. It wasn't that you had to buy a cigar. You can smoke your cigar, but you have to buy a cigar. So anyway, I sent out a group text to my crew and said, hey guys, if you hear about somebody talking about a cutting fee, just let them know it means that you just have to buy a cigar, or if you don't want to buy a cigar, you have to pay a cutting fee. And one of my very good friends said, well, obviously the person didn't tell you the whole story. I was like, dude, are you serious? I said, this was a group text, first of all, and no one asked. So you just told me it was you talking about it. No, I'm not saying that. Anyway, I was hurt. Pause. All right, I'm back. I have to put my big drawers on. So anyway, I was really hurt because it was somebody who I considered to be a close friend. And I never ask who's saying things about, certain things, because I really don't care. People used to always tell me, oh, you're going to find a lot of haters. And I said, I don't like to use that word, haters. And I think it's pretty sad, because to know me is to know I really go out my way to help people. So anyway, fast forward. There were multiple incidents, but that was just one. That was the first one. So I did, I started the thing called the Red Cigar Society. I'm going to promote, females. Well, let me back up. There were several people that I knew that had businesses, and, I would help them. I remember back in the 80s, I helped a gentleman who had a paging business. You know who you are. And I was like, I'm going to create you a fax form. That's how old it is. That's how long ago. We use faxes. So I'm going to create you a fax form for your fax machine. And he was like, cool, what you want? Oh, I don't want nothing. So anyway, he actually thought I wanted something. Whenever I saw something that I thought somebody could use, I went out my way to help. It's just the way I was. That's the way my mother is. And that is where I got it from. If I tell you all the things I have done to help other people and strangers, my mother raised kids who weren't even hers. She didn't even ask for money. That's just the household I was raised in. Pause. Y'all don't laugh at me. I just keep switching glasses. So anyway, that's just how I was raised. I'm going fast forward. I'm setting up interviews with different people, and I find out there's a young lady out here who is trying to make stuff happen. She's doing a cigar brand, and I think her cigars are awesome. They're not for everybody. Everybody has a different palate. I'm not going to tell somebody, oh my God, don't try those cigars. It tastes like crap. If I don't like them, you know why? Just because my palate is not the same as somebody else's palate, I'd say, it's kind of like this brand. This is kind of this way. You might like it, you might not. If I know what type of cigar you like, I can let you know if you like this or not. I've been very good at doing that over the years. So anyway, I hear some people didn't like the fact that she did not disclose which factory made her cigars. Now, she told you where they are. She told you what type of tobacco was, but because she didn't share which factory made her cigars, that person was upset and started calling people. Oh, telling people she doesn't want anybody to know where her manufacturer is, and she's doing private labels and bundling cigars and all of that. Of course, now these are people that don't have a business. But my thing is, I worked for another, I used to be a brand rep for two different companies. One was called JD Cigars out of Miami. His cigars were made in Esteli. And that's all you needed to know. You needed to know the tobacco. One is very, very hard to put out a boutique brand cigars because the big companies, big lounges do not like to bring them in because they do not have marketing behind them. That has been my experience. So, especially if you're a small company, they do think you are a private label. However, there are a lot of small companies that have started cigars and have done very well. So in order to get the marketing behind you, you need to have, a show of followers, and you need to be able to make that money, and you need to be able to do the marketing, and there's just a process that you have to go through. But some people just don't want you to do well. Some manufacturers, I'm not going to say who they are, will try to shoot you in the foot. They will contact the cigar companies, tobacco shops, and cut your legs off before you could even get them in there. It's a horrible thing. But it's even worse when your own people do it to you. You get slapped in the face by everybody else and your own people. How are you ever going to grow if you get slapped by everyone? Okay, so Anyway, I just wanted to post this video to share that, you know, we try to do things. Now, I moved here to Maryland. My goal was to just not really do too much, not too much in the cigar business, just smoke cigars. Yeah, that didn't work out too good for me because the type of spirit I have, it attaches me to people that need help. Always has been. Anyway, stay tuned for videos of beautiful entrepreneurs and that smoke cigars. And I am going to do my best to promote these queens. And eventually, once I get past the queens, I will make it to you kings. But right now, my focus is on the sisters. Anyway, stay tuned. Follow us on YouTube, Cigar Lady Annette. Or follow me, should I say, Cigar Lady Annette. Facebook, Red Cigar Society, Cigar Lady Annette. Instagram, Red Cigar Society, Cigar Lady Annette. I look forward to bringing you exciting content. If anyone would like to do a little Q&A, feel free to post your comments in the comment section, and I will do my best to respond. Because I know some people are asking, well, what happened to your cigar lounge? I'll share that information with you if you ask. All right. I have no problems. I'm like an open book. I'll share it all.